Welcome to my new show, Sean Vlog, and it is raining here in the Northwest, and I have all sorts of crazy stuff for you. See, I needed to come out with some weekly content. My normal video essays and other rambles just won't cut it here on YouTube. I have to come out with content. So I have a bunch of conspiracies for you. Hollywood conspiracies, and there's a lot of them. Like Walt Disney being frozen. Is that real? Probably not. Aliens in the sky? Well, I don't know if I'm going to talk about that. But there's a whole bunch of clones out there in the world, I guess. And I've had the technology for years and years, supposedly, I guess. Walt Disney, a modern marvel of our time. One that changed media and corporations forever. Changing the business world, the art world, and media as we know it. There was always conspiracies and legends surrounding this man of marvel. And perhaps no controversy is greater than the one that plagued his family after he died. The one that said that on Walt's deathbed, he decided to have himself frozen in a super lab, perhaps under Disneyland. And with all that money and power, was it that far out of reach? The first signs of this rumor that I could find on the internet was in 1970. That's 4 years after he died, but nobody really can track where it started. Imagine if you were just like an old guy that was like, I started that rumor. He's like some guy that works from like a local newspaper somewhere in the middle of Minnesota or someplace. He's like, yep, that's what I did in my life. I started a weird rumor about Walt Disney. Or maybe he helped freeze him. Because Walt Disney, there's a lot of speculation that he had himself cryogenically frozen and possibly placed under Disneyland. I mean, can you imagine one day you come home after work, somebody has on the news, because God knows healthy people don't watch the news, and there it is. Walt Disney is alive again. He's alive and well. He's stronger. He's like ripped like Arnold. He's ready to take back the empire. He's ready to grab the rings from the people that have taken his empire. And you know, maybe they could have already unfroze him, and there's people that are like trying to keep him frozen longer, but then there's like another select of people that are trying to unfreeze him because they're like, Walt Disney's the king of Disney and it's rightfully his. I mean, how would that even look? Like, would they just give it back to him? I mean, that'd be a huge court battle. And like, how would that, he hasn't been running it. Like, the Disney that he left is definitely very different than the Disney of today, regardless of like the politics of the matter. I mean, it's grown so tremendously a lot. Totally different thing. There's even more theme parks now. But I mean, you can imagine like a billionaire like that, or whatever he was, a rich guy like that, having technologies that far surpass anything that we even have today. And imagine what Disney has now. I mean, if they're unfreezing Walt Disney, I mean, they must have a lot. These billionaire people, they're crazy. They have all sorts of money. And if I had a bunch of money, I might have a secret cryogenic lab to freeze my loved ones and myself when we got sick, to later then unthaw us and revive us when they had the technology to do so. Maybe AI will like replicate its brain. I mean, that's like a whole nother thing. They could replicate Walt Disney's brain. I don't know why you'd want to do that. He doesn't seem like the best guy to replicate and like put into a robot. But I mean, scientists do stupid shit all the time. Look at Jurassic Park, and people are like trying to, I mean, I remember that when I was a kid, they were trying to bring back the mammoth. So who knows what these like billionaires have, right? I mean, you know, but people always have like the strongest, craziest imaginations, including myself, and we love to run with it. And people see patterns. So it's like really hard to tell like what is true. The same things that like make the humankind great are the same thing that makes it really hard to tell what is real. Like there's a thin line between genius and insanity. I had a really, really good friend who's a total piece of crap, and I don't like him anymore, but he was like a brother to me growing up. And that dude like walked that thin line of genius and insanity. He saw patterns everywhere, and some of those patterns were straight on. I mean, his IQ was probably off the hook. I mean, seriously, one of the most intelligent people I've ever met. But at the same time, like, he thought things that were obviously like very not true, very sick person. Cut him out of my life because he stole a bunch of money from me, and he's just like not an honest person, and that's my main problem with him. But I guess that's for another video, or not a video. I probably should just keep that stuff to myself. But anyway, so that's like conspiracy number one, is Walt Disney freezing himself like a popsicle and then to someday like revive. What if he came back and his brain didn't work anymore, and he was thawed out, and it was him. He had like most of the memories of Walt Disney, but now he's like, you know, I don't know. On to the next one. Avril Lavigne. Avril Lavigne. Man, it's hard to pronounce her name. Avril Lavigne, Eminem, and Paul McCartney. What do they all have in common? They are all clones. All of them are clones. I don't know. But there's a lot of clones in Hollywood. There's a lot of clones in the music industry. I don't know. I think I was replaced with a clone. I can't really figure it out, but I'm pretty sure I'm a clone because, I don't know, I have all the same hats I've always had, and That makes me think that maybe I'm a clone. So the rumors about Avril Lavigne started in 2003 when her grandfather died. Apparently she disappeared. She like stopped a tour or something like that. I didn't get that far down the rabbit hole, but supposedly like she took her grandfather's passing really, really hard, as someone would, someone that's really close to their grandfather. There was already a rumor about an apparent double that would perform for her because fame was hard and she toured all the time, and that was like the main way she made money. I mean, I'm just talking out of my ass now, but you know, the record labels always screw people over. So like the main way that Avril Lavigne made money was touring. So she had a double to take some of that load off of her. And when she died, right, and she, you know, she took her grandfather's thing like really hard, so the double just continued on. I mean, that doesn't seem that far-fetched, especially like somebody like Avril Lavigne. I know I had girlfriends in middle school that absolutely loved Avril Lavigne, and she was so cool. She was so cool. I mean, like, honestly, from my point of view, her music was okay. Some of it got stuck in my head because it was played on the radio all the time. It was like Sum 41. I know there's like people that are my age especially that like really like Sum 41, but they're the type that just seem like they're being so cool that obviously like the studio was like came up with some sort of formula of what kids thought was cool, and they were like, act like this, like in her music videos, riding on a skateboard and playing her guitar. I mean, she was a musician, right? Maybe she did skate, but like regardless, like backwards hat and the whole thing. I mean, it was like, she's so cool that she can't be that cool. Come on. Like, no, like, I don't know. I just don't buy it. It's like Sum 41. I hear some of those songs on the radio and I start to blush. Hot take. Hate me in the comments. So this next one I really got to get right because my mom is a huge Beatles fan, and this is about Paul McCartney, and I asked my mom about this one and she does remember it, and usually things like this she generally doesn't remember. So, and especially back then, like there wasn't like big rumors like that as much because there wasn't a big internet was like nothing like it is now, if it even existed. So the rumors about Paul McCartney being a double or was replaced or was a clone started in 1969 when a caller called in and told the DJ Gibbs to play Revelation 9 backwards and to hear the album say, "Turn Me On Dead Man," and I guess that meant that he was a clone. And then later there was more playing the albums backward, like Strawberry Fields, Forever, and that supposedly somehow led to Paul McCartney being in the fields forever. I mean, like, how would I know? Like, it's been the same guy, even if it is a replacement, like, maybe, you know, and I mean, it could have been a falling out or whatever, but playing the record backwards, people that, like, think that, I mean, that's what I was talking about in the beginning with patterns. Humans, like to find patterns in things, and, like, if you stare into the dark, your brain will start making up patterns. You'll sort of start hallucinating, like any sane person. It's like the same reason, like, Bloody Mary works. If you stare into the mirror, then like your brain starts distorting and signals from your eye and your brain. I'm not a scientist, but I've done that. Your face starts warping. It's not because your face is really warping. So I imagine it's the same thing with playing a record backwards, and people are hearing things that they wanted to hear or didn't want to hear, hearing things like that. So that's where that rumor came from. It's kind of funny because he's like one of the last alive Beatles. That's kind of ironic. So the last of the clones is your boy Eminem. I love Eminem. First starters, I'm a huge Eminem fan. I've been a fan of Eminem ever since Hi My Name came out. There's a huge rumor, there's lots of stuff about it, about Eminem being a clone. And people say that he's a clone because, I mean, the internet says it's because Tom MacDonald came out with the song Hollywood Elites, like taking bones from rappers to clone them to like continue to make money, specifically the Illuminati of the rap world. People relate this because of his jawline, his ears, and his nose like look slightly different, and then his style of his music changed around the period where he got in a car crash, supposedly. Personally, like, my debunk of this is I absolutely love Eminem, and if you listen to pre-Dr. Dre Eminem, he's actually a lot more similar to the way he raps now than he did when he was getting famous. It's like Dr. Dre found him. Like, go look up Infinite. Go look up Slim Shady EP. Like, there's some crazy stuff out there. There's stuff that he's like rapping over like almost techno type music, just like crazy fast. And it was like, I always have this like imagination thing where I think about Dre like finding Eminem and he's just like rapping up a storm because he's like a rap god since birth, and, you know, sold his soul to the devil. That's another thing. Did Eminem sell his soul to the devil? He was so good that Dr. Dre was like, dude, tone it down a little bit and we'll make millions. So they like simmered him down, and got him to like say his lyrics slower so people can understand it. Then he got super famous and he was published by Dre, had the best beats, he had the best, publishers, Aftermath, Interscope. They blew him to the top. And now he's like so big that he can do whatever he wants and it doesn't really matter if people like it or not. And so he makes what he wants. And like what he wants more or less it's like kind of a mixture of like both styles. Is it possible that he's a clone? Sure, anything's possible. He also sure could have gotten plastic surgery. Like nobody wants to think about that with a rapper. That's definitely like taboo in the rap world. Like for some reason men aren't supposed to get plastic surgery, but it's okay if women are, but like they're still scrutinized for it as well. But like all those Hollywood people get plastic surgery. Like, I'm not saying that he totally did, but that definitely could explain the jawline. And, he used to smile. I gotta say that. He used to smile a lot more, but maybe it's just because fame isn't all that it's cracked up to be, or maybe it's because of all the Botox. Not really sure, but I absolutely love Eminem. Just stating that, like, absolutely, like, fanboy. Like, there's few things I'm a fanboy of, but I'm an Eminem fanboy. Like, I'm Stan, pretty much. Except, hopefully, happier. Baby, I'm sorry. Oh my god. I'm sorry, baby girl. I love you. I know, it's pouring down rain out there. So tell me what you think about this format. Throw me some bones. Like there's a link where you can throw me some bones, and I'm gonna have some PNGs and like backgrounds and stuff. Nothing that's like too serious, but I'm trying to come up with some like products. So like this stuff's expensive to make. All my money goes into making these videos. You've heard it before. You know what I mean? Like if you have anything to spare, anything helps. Trying to like buy more gear. I am so broke. This is literally where I live and film, and everything is in this box. And I love it, and my dog's here to keep me company, and I'm not crying or nothing. Like, I feel very, very lucky in life, but I'm just saying, like, I need better computers to, like, make the edits that I'm trying to make. Tell me if there's any topics that you would like to hear from me. Remember to like, remember to subscribe, and I'll either see you in the next video or I'll see you in the next live, but hopefully in the next video. In this show, we're going to talk about what's happening with YouTube, what's happening in the broader scheme of entertainment, and what's happening with yours truly.